Encore.
Encore? You'll get a new song. I want to do something pretty. Well, I got to do the funny songs, but I need to tell you a little bit of the story, because since you're here in my adopted hometown, I think I won the award for closest attendee. I'm 18 miles up the road. I'm actually a Seattle boy, born and raised. And back in 2003, I moved to Orlando, and the reason is because my son is autistic and essentially nonverbal. And from a very, very young age, he was completely obsessed with Disney. And so when he was 9 years old, back in 2002, we decided to kind of take a flyer, bring him here to Orlando, brought him to Disney World. We weren't sure what was going to happen, and it was amazing. It was like flipping on a light switch. The minute he walked onto Main Street at the Magic Kingdom, he became absolutely grounded and present and focused on everything around him. And the very first ride he went on there was Snow White's Scary Adventures. And he loved it. And we went on that ride several times. And over the course of that visit, we were having lunch at the Columbia Harbor House. I remember this vividly. And we had been taking pictures of ride entrances so he could show us if we wanted to go back somewhere. And he was essentially nonverbal. And we'd show him a picture, and he started naming the rides. We showed him a picture, and he'd say, Pirates, Haunted Mansion. And then we'd bring up the picture of Snow White's Scary Adventure. He'd be like, Snow White! So we went on the Snow White ride a lot. And we got back home to Seattle, and I turned to his mom, and I said, am I crazy, or should we think about moving down there? Because one of the great advantages, as I hope many of you know, of being a software developer, is you can do your job from anywhere if you've got a decent boss. And so in 2003, we pulled up stakes and moved cross country from Seattle to Orlando so that we could turn Walt Disney World into sort of a giant therapy session for our son. And it has been tremendous. He's 26 years old now. Over the course of 10 years, he went on Snow White's Scary Adventures 3,500 times.
Did he finally let you not ride?
I counted. Actually, I had an app on my phone and I kept track. And the ride actually closed permanently back in 2012. And the very last day the ride was in operation, we decided that we were going to take him there and let him go on the ride as many times as he wanted for that last day to say goodbye. And so we were there that last night. It was an amazing night. And as it got closer and closer to the ride closing, like there was a whole crowd of people there, and they all kind of picked up on who he was, and there was sort of this unanimous decision in the crowd that he needed to be the last person to go on the ride. So it came to the point where they capped off the line and everyone went through, and then they escorted him back on the ride to go on it one last time. And like a couple of rides earlier, Snow White had actually come out and gone on the ride with him and did a whole photo session. And it was this incredible experience. And the people working the ride asked us, what number is this? We said, well, it's 3,493. And they said, well, that's not good. And the people, there's like construction crews waiting to put up walls to decommission this ride. They've already cleared Fantasyland. The area manager kind of walked us off to the side, said, wait here a minute. And they cleared Fantasyland, and then they brought us back, and just our little group went on the ride 6 more times. And on the next to the last, on 3,499, his mom turned to me and said, I think he should go on it by himself for the last one. And I was terrified. But I agreed, and we let him the very last time. It's the one and only time he went on that ride by himself. He got on the minecart, he went in, he took off, got out of sight. I turned to the cast member next to me. I said, there's cameras in there, like you can see what's going on. And she said, oh no, not on this one. I had visions of the headlines, autistic boy disappears on the carnival ride. But so that night, it was incredible, and I wound up, I know I've been talking a lot, I'm going to do the song in a second, I swear, but I wound up writing a series of blog posts about that night. that kind of took off a little bit. And then I had several author friends, and one of them turned to me and said, I think you have a novel in you. So then I had to spit one out. So I tell you that story to tell you this. I brought a copy of my book. It's called 3500, An Autistic Boy's 10-Year Romance with Snow White. This is available on Amazon in print and Kindle. Every single penny of this book, it's published under my son's special need trust, so I don't see a dime for this. This all goes directly into his trust. I never see it. This particular copy is signed by my son. It's also signed by Snow White, Tinkerbell, and Mary Poppins. And so the first person who comes up to me after this and sincerely wants this copy of the book, I would be delighted to give it to you. This song is the song that I wrote for that last night, and summarizes the entire 10-year experience we had with Snow White. It's okay, I'm crying too. It was a silly old fairy tale ride. For 40 long years they ran it with pride. There were dwarfs and a princess inside. Just 3 minutes long, overflowing with song. And although it was not the most popular ride, the children all loved it so well. The lap bar goes down as the minecart rolls on, by a wishing well a princess is singing her song. There's a scary old witch and a dark, gloomy forest as well. In the cottage, the dwarfs have a silly good time, and a handsome young prince breaks the spell. All is well. Now Ben wasn't like other kids. His autism left him without any friends. He spent his time trapped in his head, and although often heard, he'd never spoken a word. But the very first time he stepped into that park, Ben was cast under a spell. The lap bar goes down as the minecart rolls on, by a wishing well a princess is singing her song. There's a scary old witch and a dark, gloomy forest as well. In their cottage, the dwarfs have a silly good time, and a handsome young prince breaks the spell. All is well. All is well. And as he rode and he rode, we saw his language explode. He went time and again, he began to make friends. His senses were thrumming, and we saw him coming alive. Now it was 10 years he went on that ride. He grew 3 feet taller, and his problems got smaller. His progress, it filled me with pride. Still a long way to go, but he'll make it, I know. And then came the day that his ride went away, and he'll never go on it again. But for one last time, the lap bar goes down as as the minecart rolls on by a wishing well the princess is singing her song. There's a scary old witch in a dark, gloomy forest as well. In their cottage, the dwarfs sing a silly old song as a handsome young prince breaks the spell. All is well. And it's exactly 3,500 times Ben was cast under that spell. All is well. All is well.